the scene.
I just finished the autopsy that you asked me to do.
Is that why you're looking so tired?
It's a horrible thing.
Horrible. The autopsy of the corpse.
Oh, it's rather the autopsy. Dirty job. But I have a little surprise this time.
Isn't he dead?
You're in a joking mood today. He was killed by a mouse.
Yeah, and I'm supposed to be the funny one. Admit that you joke as much as me.
He was bitten. In the middle of an orgasm. And the vampire sucked his semen in his life.
Oh, come on, you're really not going to tell me you believe in vampires. Isn't it the work of a madman? Of a sadist?
Believe what you want.
Way back into the distant past, when he was like 15, he joined a mail-in movie club, 11 days for pennies. And now cut to 2025, the movie club caught on to Pete's life, and now they want to punish him, so they trapped him in a room with a bunch of movie tapes. Pete didn't want to pay for the movies he got in the 90s. He'll have to watch random horror tapes and tell us about gore and probably some rape. Now keep in mind Pete didn't pick. They use random numbers and a long list. He's got to get through every movie, one each day for the time we can't foresee. Helpful snowman roll call. Anxiety. Grouchiness, entropy, snow. If you're wondering why he did this song and other FAQ facts, just shut up and listen to this show, or fuck it, take a nice nap. It's Helpful Snowman Podoween 2025.
All right, hey everybody. You might notice my voice sounds a little different. I've fallen a bit ill because, well, of course I have. I'm not at work. I have time away from work. So, of course, I can spend that time being sick. Isn't this a wonderful world? But no matter. This has given me no quarter in the dungeon. And so we march on. And today's movie was one called Female Vampire. Now, this was bound to happen. Frankly, it was bound to happen. Frankly, Jess Franco Lee. I'm surprised it took me this long to hit a movie of this type in, doing this punishment. If I'd known that the subtitle or alternate title for Female Vampire was The Bare-Breasted Countess, I probably would have had a better idea what I was getting into here. But the opening of the movie, which is a naked woman walking through the mist for several minutes, did provide me a pretty unsubtle hint as to where we were headed. Describing the plot of Female Vampire is like describing the plot of a porno movie, basically. I mean, there is a vampire, female, she's mute, and she bangs people and then vampires them, usually in a sort of sexually explicit vampire sort of way. In other words, I'm not sinking my fangs into their neck. It's a little more, in the old Victorian days, and it was like, ooh, the vampire's a metaphor for losing virginity and stuff. And it's like, what if we just made it not a metaphor at all? Then I guess, at some point in the plot, our female vampire meets a man she wished she hadn't killed, but she did kill because she's a vampire. It's kind of like, it's what we do. And then she kills herself, I think, by writhing around in a bath of watery blood, presumably watery so that we can still see she's completely naked. I can't really describe. I don't know if I've ever seen a movie that's not a porno where there's this much nudity. The female lead of the movie is naked all the time, except for when she's wearing a completely see-through dress. I mean, and whether or not we're going to count that as nudity, I will let you be the judge. What I described there is the entirety of the plot. Okay, and the time of the movie, the runtime, is mostly filled by sex scenes, a blowjay scene, a lesbian scene, a somewhat baffling scene where the titular, and I use the word titular very purposely, female vampire sort of does a sex act, or maybe a couple on a bedpost which isn't like disturbing. It's odd because we've already seen her give a blowy and we've seen her going down on a lady for an extended period and a dude. So bedpost seems like a bit of a downgrade. You know what I mean? As far as it seems like you go bedpost first, then maybe work your way up. If you're making a movie, but maybe I'm just immune to the specific fetish that would consider this a normal upward arc. Or maybe I'm the weirdo. Who knows? I think that the most accurate description I could give of female vampire is that it's not a horror movie with nudity in it. It's a nudity movie with horror in it. I did listen to a 2-part episode of this show called The Important Cinema Club. These guys did a 2-part episode on this movie's director, Jess Franco, who apparently made over 180 films during his lifetime, which is a feat, even if a pretty good number of them are pretty straight up pornos. I mean, like 180 sounds like a lot of movies, but that's thinking in film terms, not in like porno movie terms. I don't know what a 180 would be like for in that realm. The Important Cinema Club guys are like movie guys. And I guess what I'm learning is that I'm not a movie guy, or at least not this specific type of movie guy, because they talked about how you kind of have to watch a bunch of Jess Franco's movies, the director of Female Vampire. You have to watch a bunch of his movies in order to appreciate Jess Franco movies, which is a proposition to which I can only give a hearty no thanks after watching Female Vampire. I mean, it kind of feels like that recommendation or that, saying feels like when someone recommends a video game to you and they're like, now you will have to play like 7 hours of this before it gets good. And I'm like, yeah, no thanks. You know what I mean? I could play an entire Portal in the time it takes for this game. I could play all of the Portal games that have been made in the time it takes for this game to start becoming fun. Like, yeah, no, not for me. It's not that I don't believe these cinema nerds, you know what I mean? That there's some kind of legit directorial vision here or whatever. I don't just think they're weird pervos or something, because I mean, there's much easier ways to, shoot sperm out if you catch my subtle drift. It's just that the sort of things they talk about when they talk about Jess Franco, it's like film nerd shit that I'm not into. I mean, I can relate to the concepts. Like, I have comic book shit that I appreciate that's very silly. Like, if you read the first 50 issues of Amazing Spider-Man, you have to appreciate the schlockiness and sort of have a love for it. And I do, but I'm not that patient or not that into movies, I guess. There's also this dude named Stephen Thrower who wrote a 2-volume exploration of Jess Franco's career spanning almost 1,000 pages of book. I guess this is just the kind of thing that film nerds get into and do. And like, for me, watching one movie was quite enough. Like, it didn't leave me wanting. I wasn't like, what else is out there? You know what I mean? Although it is possible that reading the book would be more my speed than watching the movies. Sort of the way watching someone else play certain video games is better for me than playing them myself. Like, if I'm going to be frustrated by them and just not really enjoy it, sometimes I'm like, yeah, maybe watching someone else give a summary of a game is a little bit more for me. One of the 2 hosts from the Important Cinema Club even said that, there isn't a Jess Franco movie that's totally without dull periods. Like, none of them exactly fly by over the course of their runtime. And that's probably the big thing for me. Like, I mean, there was a ton of nudity in this movie. It's a movie where a naked lady vampire basically kills people via oral. And the movie was still kind of boring. Like, if you have a lady walking around nude at all times, if there isn't a single scene where you can't see her nips and she's still killing people with sex and all that, and the movie is still boring, the movie must be pretty goddamn snoozy, right? I mean, it's weird. I feel like I'm gaslighting myself and saying that I thought this movie sucked and sort of secretly thinking deep down that maybe I just didn't get it because it's something that cinemaphiles apparently have an appreciation for. But, at the same time, I'm fine with it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't need to appreciate the finer things of everything or anything, really. Like, I'm not someone who's known for having taste. So I don't really feel like I'm missing something by not having taste in this instance either. I don't want to necessarily say that like the world doesn't have a place for a movie like Female Vampire anymore, but like I kind of think the world doesn't have a place for this anymore. I mean, it's basically a porno movie, and in the 60s, the 70s, even the 80s, sure. It's like, well, how can we basically show a porno movie? But maybe not necessarily have it be a porno movie, but it definitely is. And I don't know, I guess I think too, if you wanted to do a movie like this, I think the more in the modern era, this kind of thing works better as like a tongue-in-cheek horror as opposed to an erotic adventure with a weird seriousness to it. You know what I mean? Like, I know some film folks would probably shit themselves, but I'd rather watch something like Piranha Double D than this. Like, at least that knows what it is and just sort of accepts it and casts some adult film stars and moves on with its life. It doesn't have this, like, I don't know, kind of angsty feeling I get from this movie, which seems like unearned. You know what I mean? It's a movie about a nudist vampire who kills them by giving them blowies. Like, how is that something that I'm not supposed to laugh about, right? I mean, and maybe that's me missing something, you know, me missing the real tone of it, but I'm not sure. And I do have to say the music is horrid. I mean, it's like cheesy lounge music. It doesn't fit the movie to me, and it really doesn't help disabuse me of the notion that this is a porno movie. I mean, I'm genuinely surprised that this is the first movie like this that I've hit, you know, in this sort of random selection of tapes. I mean, when horror movies are randomly selected, the chances of getting something pretty porny seem high, but I guess it's not all that likely. I mean, in fact, the only nudity so far has been Toxic Retards. That's been it so far. And that, I feel comfortable saying, that's nothing like a porno. I mean, I don't know what it is, but I could probably go down a super long list of things that it's not, and that would be one of the things it's not. It's got me thinking, like, maybe horror has a bit of an unearned reputation for using nudity as the cheapest special effect. You know what I mean? We all think of like horror movies just having boobs in them as opposed to other movies, but I don't know. Like, just seeing so many random ones and seeing so little nudity, I'm not sure. I mean, and I do have to point out that action movies also used to do a good bit of this, because here are my top 3 most ridiculous nudity scenes in no particular order. The one is the scene in Leprechaun in Space, where a space princess takes off her top and then explains that doing so in her alien culture is a threat, like the kiss of death. So you're like, okay, I mean, I guess they put in a narrative reason for her to be topless. So, you know, it's more than her just, well, and this is a scene where she just takes a shower, you know what I mean, amid whatever's going on. But I mean, it's very transparent, more transparent than the dress occasionally worn in Female Vampire. In Friday the 13th Part 2, there's a part where a lady just gets naked, skinny dips alone at night, and then gets back out of the water and resumes her business. Like, you'd think something's going to happen to her at that point, and you'd be wrong. You know, that was just a thing they filmed in addition to the other things they filmed. But my third, also favorite, is in the movie Demolition Man, which is definitely not a horror movie. And it's when Stallone is settling into his future apartment and a topless woman just calls on the video phone, apparently dialing the wrong number. I mean, it's a super cheap way to just throw some boobs in a movie, but there you go, mission accomplished. Also, it's hilarious in the modern era because, you know, we do have video phones. And I guess in the 90s, we assumed a video phone would develop. We'd have that technology, but we would have no technology like we have, which is basically makes it impossible to dial the wrong number. Anyway, Female Vampire is a little hard to rate in my estimation because it's like barely a movie for me. I mean, it's just like images on screen. It's sort of like rating Penthouse, you know, as a book on Goodreads or something. And it's like, well, how do you rate what qualities? I would be rating it on Goodreads very differently than I would be rating a book, right? Like, it's not the same criteria. But what I'm going to do for this one is, out of a possible 180 movies Jess Franco made, I'll rate this by ranking it within that 180. And I'm going to put it at a hopeful for him 175, way near the bottom. Because, I mean, there's no fucking way this is what the other ones are like, right? Like, even most of the other ones have to be better than this, just for this many people to have this much interest to write 2 books topping 1,000 pages about the works of this guy. There has to be more going on. I'm not an optimistic person, but even for me, it would be so crushingly unoptimistic to not assume
It's
that.
hopeful Snowman Podoween 2025.